In the last section, we started putting together our travis.yaml file. Remember, this is the file that's going to tell Travis what we want it to do with our code. So we've now told it that we have a copy of Docker running, and we've also told it to build an image using the dockerfile.dev file. We now need to add in one last little line of configuration that's going to tell Travis how to run our test suite. So back inside of my .travis.yaml file, I'm going to add in a new section called script. The script section is supposed to contain all the different commands that need to be executed to actually run our test suite. So these are going to be a series of commands, just like before install was, that are going to be ran when our tests need to actually be executed. Travis CI is going to be watching the output of each of these commands. And from each command, if it ever gets a return status code other than 0, Travis is going to assume that our build failed or that our test suite failed to run properly. And it's going to assume that our code is essentially broken. So in order to actually run our tests, we're going to use the same Docker command that we used just a little bit ago to start up our container out of that image right there and run the tests inside of it. So quick reminder on how we do that. We're essentially going to say something like docker run the image, and then we're going to override the default start command by saying npm run test, like so. Now, one little gotcha here, just a tiny little gotcha. Anytime that we run our test suite on Travis CI, Travis is going to assume that our test suite runs and then exits automatically. And he essentially says, okay, I either successfully ran all tests or something wrong just occurred. However, the default behavior of npm run test, well, let's run this right now and you'll see what the default behavior is. So the default behavior is to run our test suite one time and then present us with this menu right here that says, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to tell me whether you want to do some more tests or filter or do whatever else. So the default npm run test command just kind of hangs there and never exits ever. And so if we ran this on Travis CI, Travis would say, well, it's been like 30 days and I'm still waiting here for the results of npm run test. And they're never going to come because npm run test just sits and hangs and waits for input from you and I. So to work around this and make sure that the test suite automatically exits the instant that the first run is completed, we're going to add on a little additional command up here. We're going to say -- coverage, like so. So notice how there's two sets of dashes. So I'm going to run that. And then we're going to see that the test suite runs and then exits back to the command line. You'll notice that when it runs, we get a little bit of output right here. This is essentially telling us how much code inside of our project is being covered by our tests. In reality, it's essentially saying how many lines of code or functions or whatever it might be actually got executed when the tests were executed. Now, it's totally fine that we return this stuff to Travis CI. Again, the only thing that Travis cares about is the status code that comes back from running this command. So we're just going to add on that -- coverage just to make sure that the npm run test command automatically exits when the test suite is done. Okay, so with that in mind, back at script right here, to run our test suite, we're going to say docker run. Then we'll provide the name of the image that we just built, Stephen Grider / docker-react. And then we'll override the default command by saying npm run test -- coverage. Again, don't forget the two sets of dashes there with the space in between. All right, and that is pretty much it. That's all we have to do right now. So now anytime that Travis sees that we have pushed a new commit up to GitHub, it's going to clone all of our code and then use these series of directions to build our Docker image, run some tests, and then report on whether our tests succeeded or failed. So let's save this file. We're going to take a break right now, and then we'll test out the setup in the next section.